Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Nations Championship. It has been quite the eventful day thus far. We've had close games, had a couple one-sided ones too, but this one, it's very hard to predict. Argentina versus Scotland. These two sides have had some great battles over the last few years. The Scottish side heading to Cordoba here to try and get the job done, but it will certainly not be easy. They've got a pretty handy looking side though to take to the field. Looking through at Argentina's starting lineup, it is Mico Vivas in the front row alongside the captain and the hugely experienced Julian Montoya. Pedro Delgado, he was slotted in as the 3 to finish off what is a pretty strong looking front row for Los Pumas here. Guido Pitti alongside Matthias Alemano in the locking duo. Pablo Matera, Santiago Rondona and Joaquin Oviedo will make up the loose forward trio. Gonzalo Garcia alongside Thomas Albanoz as that 9 and 10 combo. Mateo Carreras out on the left wing. In the midfield, it will be Sanchez Vallarolo and also Lucio Cinti. Rodrigo Isgro out on the right wing with Santiago Carreras as the number 15 for the Scottish. Pierre Schoeman in a milestone game here, starting in the front row alongside Ewan Ashman and Elliot Miller-Mills. Johnny Gray and Scott Cummings in the locking duo with Matt Fagerson, Rory Darge and Jack Dempsey close out. The Scottish fullback, Ben White and Tom Jordan as that 9 and 10 combination. No Finn Russell for this contest here for the Scottish. Jamie Dobie out on the left wing. Sione Tuipulotu and Rory Hutchinson as the midfield pairing with Kyle Stain and Kyle Rowe as the last two. And the side we have there, good evening, how is your sleep? The sleep has not happened yet. We have done the all-nighter. This is our last game of the 5 matches. I believe we're into about our 9th or maybe actually 10th hour of commentary for the day. I have no idea how I'm still awake. I have no idea how I'm functioning, but I'm hoping this is going to be a good game that keeps me wide awake. And we get a very exciting 80 minutes being played for this match. We have got there, this is going to be a fast-paced game, says Claus. And there as well. And what was the best game, says Mohatim? Well, I did actually put in a poll. Normally we would have who was going to win, but for some reason it cancelled that one, so I went with what was the best game. I will mention the game that I didn't include, some would actually argue was the best. That was Japan versus Italy, seeing as the Japanese were able to get themselves the big upset win there. But yeah, I probably should have said what was not so much the best, but what was the most entertaining game of the weekend, because I feel like that's probably a little bit different. I have to say, we've had some really good back and forth type of contests taking place all throughout this weekend. Go Argentina, says Salah there. But the Argentines, they want to get the job done in front of their home crowd. To be honest, England didn't turn up. Yeah, it was a little bit disappointing in terms of the end score line for that contest. I would have loved to see it be a lot closer between the teams. But it just wasn't really meant to be, unfortunately. England, they probably will go a lot better next week, I would think, in their next contest up against the Fijians. But yeah, that one didn't quite live up to expectations. Finn Russell injured. I'm not actually sure if it's injury. I'd assume it would have to be injury-based, right, as to why he wouldn't be playing in this contest, definitely with the other players that they have still got in the starting 15. But Tom Jordan, he's not a bad option. Some good attacking moments throughout the last 12 months. The crowd in Cordoba do look relatively full, other than just right down next to the field. I wonder whether or not that is down to maybe the weather, though it doesn't seem to be too shabby at the moment. Hopefully that's the way it stays. Cheslin Colby might be the new goal kicker. Says Mohadini, certainly a great option there, and it does allow for Mani Libok to again be in that number 10 jersey. They are about to have the national anthems of these two sides. These are the upcoming matches for Argentina as well as Scotland. But for the Scottish, they have got a tough game next week up against the Box, and then after that they will be playing against the Flying Fijians. For the Argentines, they have got the Welsh next week, followed by the English, which, depending on how they go in this game, could be 2 very winnable games. We saw Wales get themselves the victory over the Fijians, but I do still think that there is plenty of improvement to be made for that Welsh side, but they are just taking small steps in the right direction, which is fantastic to see. Only Flower of Scotland is being played in Argentina. Gregor Townsend, the man in charge of this side yet again. And this Argentine team got something about them. They've got the passion. They've got a decent bench as well for this game. They've got 2 tough Nations Championship games. But currently the way that it sits, South Africa are at the top of the bunch. And then from there, I believe, in the second place, it would actually be the Welsh, the way that it currently sits. And do you think South Africa will win all July games, says Mohideen? They'd have a pretty good chance. I think that their hardest game was going to be up against the English. That is nothing against Scotland. But we haven't seen Scotland do well in South Africa for quite some time. Flower of Scotland has been sung. At about 4 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest, the crowd are loud and proud. Seems like quite a few Scottish have made the trip. Support their side in Argentina here. And it is a very tricky one for the travelling fans in terms of if you're following the team around, you're literally going from country to country. For the instance of France, you're starting off in New Zealand, you're heading across to Australia, and then their last leg, I believe, will be head-to-head up against the Japanese. A little bit of travel involved for the sides. For the likes of Scotland, they're going from Argentina to then South Africa, which is quite the trip. And then I believe heading back up north to play up against the Fijians, seeing as they aren't playing their games at home. How's Oxen Andre? No idea. Oxenshare, I know it was the leg injury, it seemed to be anyway. Andre Easthuizen was a head knock, so more than likely he won't be available for next week's game up against Scotland. But be an interesting one because Rassi went very early with his lineup last week. So we did actually film a whole lineup prediction, me and Vic. It was like 50 minutes long. We went quite far in depth in terms of our ideas of what Rassi's going to be going with this season, and definitely for that season opener up against the English. Got it all filmed, just about to start editing it, and then they said, hey, by the way, we're announcing the Springboks team tonight. Of course, that was last week. I should mention we don't know when they're being announced just yet, but it will be probably quite early on. So yeah, did the whole filming session, but it was good because we got to catch up anyway. But yeah, we weren't actually a mile off either in terms of some of the selections, which I think is the more impressive part. Congrats, because South Africa absolutely pummeled the English. Said England number 12, their best option. I'd back Ollie Lawrence over him. Even Max might be better. Yeah, see, I think that something in that back line for the English wasn't quite clicking. And Seb Atkinson, don't get me wrong, he had some good moments in the Six Nations, but I do like Ollie Lawrence a lot. I said about Tommy Freeman as a 13 in that preview, but I don't know. Now I'm starting to wonder whether or not they need just a whole big reshuffle in that back line. Papier might play next week. Says Mohideen, I think he'll have a decent chance of being in the lineup. Although it depends on how, once again, experimental they're willing to go. We are going to see a bit of rotation from these sides in the July internationals because, of course, you want to get yourself ready to go for that Rugby World Cup. Pablo Matera, man, at international level, who always seems to be able to up his game. Feels like ages ago since he was at the Crusaders here in New Zealand. We've seen a few Argentines coming over since then. For instance, we did see in Super Rugby, was Thomas Lavanini playing in that the Highlanders setup. You're right. They might need a reshuffle, says Liza. But the big man, Franco Molina, to make his way off the bench. And when is Australia playing the Box? They play them in about, where are we? Hang on. I've actually got it here somewhere. They play them in 85 days' time on the 27th of September or the 26th of September for you guys in South Africa. So, yeah, still a wee way away from that matchup. Does Scotland have a chance? I think so. I think that these two sides have shown many times that they love a good back and forth. We've seen comeback victories for these teams up against each other. But I feel like the Nations Championship, we've had so many close games throughout this round, and I feel like this one's going to be no different. Argentina in front of the home crowd will be showing the passion. They'll be fired up. They'll be rearing to go, trying to make a real statement. But at the same time, I feel like Scotland just have something about them when they get going and they play well. Very hard to stop them scoring. Rassi said Ox has a knee injury, and it might be bad. Abadi will confirm after the press conference they just had. Says Liza. So yeah, it's a little bit of an unknown. It was interesting that he tried to continue though, Oxenshire, which sometimes you'd think is a good sign, but then that can also injure it even more. Scotland did funny last year, they lost. Says Mohideen, well, they certainly won't be wanting to lose here. Nations Championship currently, in terms of the North, Ireland is sitting at the top, Wales, then Ireland, I believe, is the way that the standings are. Every other side has lost. What we're quickly going to do, I do see Samoa actually leading at the moment. Tuna Tuitama scoring in the second minute of their game up against Hong Kong. And then Seuli scoring a little bit later on. But in terms of the table, Wales at the top, then it's Ireland, and then France got themselves the 2 points. Italy and England both receiving 0 from their first round fixtures. On the Southern Hemisphere side of the draw, South Africa at the top of the bunch with New Zealand closely behind, Japan, and then Australia. Fiji, the only side at this point in time for the South who haven't received a single point after their loss to the Welsh. They're just saying about no Kinghorn, no Russell, quite a few players missing there. You're a beast, mate. Sub, go the Pumas, says Frank Kidd. The tiredness is starting to kick in. I think that the reality of doing about 10 hours of streaming has started to hit me, but I'm still excited for this game. This is one that I really didn't want to miss. I wanted to see how these two sides would go up against each other, as they normally do have a really good kind of back and forth. 1 second, we'll go like this. November back. It was at Murrayfield. Argentina won 33 points to 24. They were down by 24 points to 21-0. And then they came back to win that game. FIFA host nation Canada is out of the World Cup. Morocco slaughtered them. Same sad day for England and Canada, says Big Rig. It's always a shame getting knocked out of the home comp, isn't it? We saw that for France in the Rugby World Cup just a couple years ago, or 3 years ago. I can't believe how far since that last World Cup we are. Nika Amushakeli will be the Georgian referee in charge of this one. Brett Cronin on the TMO. I wonder if they'll replace Ox with another prop or just another forward like a lock to JJ Van der Mesch. I think they'll bring in another prop. Even though, of course, they have got a lot of other guys that they could look at, but you want that little bit of extra reinforcement up front. Definitely when the scrum is such a pivotal part of the South African game. Argentinian anthem, something to behold, beautiful. Says Booker, but this one now kicked off Argentina, going from left to right at Cordoba. We are underway for the last game of the day in the Nations Championship competition. Our last time England hosted the Rugby World Cup, we got knocked out in the league stage. Says Big Rig. Currently in the hands of the Scottish inside of their own 22. George Horn in the starting lineup for this game. Instead, he will be making his way off of the bench, but Ben White getting the start. And that ball has been kicked into touch by White. Albanoz. He was playing for the Barbars not too long ago. Seemed to go not too badly as well at time. What do you think of the England-Bot game? More one-sided than I wanted it to be, I will say. Like, that first half, at the end of it, it was like, oh, maybe, but no, ended up being one-sided. And then we have got there, but there's too many props, and we have 8 locks injured. Russie confirmed, says Liza. They actually got 8 locks, or 8 props. Oh, sorry, too many props. Yeah, so they might look at another locking option. It depends on the severity of Eben's head knock. Because Riley Norton, I don't think, is a mile away from returning either. And we have got there last time England hosted. Oh no, I read that one. An evening again. Hamish back for more. Says the Massa. Garcia. On our way to Santiago Herreras. 100 seconds into this contest, and it is going to absolutely fly by, definitely with how these two sides normally like to play. A bit of territory I can expect early on from the Argentines. Now, Alemanno moving across Albanoz. Shifting left again. And good seeing the All Blacks in the box getting the wins. Go Argentina. Yes, Hamish, what in for the block? Says Haino. Oh, Riley's out for 9 to 10 weeks. Okay, so that's a completely different report to what I heard. I was told that he was only going to be out for about a week. Maybe they were trying to tell me about a different lock and got them confused. I saw Peter Steph-Todoy move to flank when Ben Jason Dixon came on. Which I think makes sense. At the end of the day, Peter Steph, don't get me wrong, world-class player, but he's not really a pure lock, is he? Ben Jason Dixon also not a pure lock, but yeah, I think Peter Steph does do a lot better when he gets to play in that loose forward trio. We probably saw him a little bit more the later stages of the game as well in terms of running in that wider channel. Now, currently a tackle made by Tom Jordan, Argentina. Still getting the attack going with Thomas Albanoz. Garcia. Good phase play at the moment from the Argentines. They're up to 16 phases in a row. Another big tackle made by the Scottish Pierre Skirman with the short ear at the moment. Julian Montoya. That's Luden Franco are out for about a week or two, says Liza. And also we got there Southern Him, says Mark. Why no JJ Van der Merch in the box squad? Ambrose looks like a behemoth. Imagine trying to tackle that big man, says Johnny. Now back to the right-hand side again for the Argentines. Albanoz. They're up to 21 phases. I'm not sure what the record was for the weekend. I know that we saw 20 phases in the most recent game, but cutting through the gap, just landing on his face, was Santiago Rondona. Now Garcia again, big fend off from Cinti up to the 22-metre line. Close to getting the steal and the breakdown. At least the opportunity to take it was Matt Fagerson. And Pumas to win by 3 points back in all Southern Hemisphere team, says Disney. I don't know if he's fit enough for Rossi standards, says Hayno. That one's going to be kicked in behind. They'll go back now for the scrum. And JJ not mobile enough, according to Rossi, says Albert. But first 4 minutes of this game, bit of a hectic start in terms of the tempo. The Argentines going through 24 phases and just couldn't quite break through. Sione Tuipolotu just going over having a bit of a conversation with the referee. Oh, okay, that makes sense, says Johnny Blaze. And JJ also carrying an injury, says the Massa. And just seeing that pass there across. And Grondona, it wasn't intentional in terms of the Scottish knock-on. It was just in the process of wrapping the arm around to make a tackle. Like they're saying, it shouldn't be anything more than the knock-on. Now that I think about it, we haven't had a red card yet this weekend, have we? Unless there was one in Japan versus Italy, only because I haven't been able to watch that game fully yet. But if we can go a full weekend without a red card in international rugby, we've done very well. Yeah, no cards in the Japan-Italy game. I think we only had the exception of England versus South Africa, they had a lot of cards. I think we had 3 in total. Probably more than the whole rest of the games combined. I think Italy can beat the All Blacks next week. Not with how they played up against Japan. But they normally do turn it up a little bit more up against the All Blacks. Mateo Carreras moving into the 22 currently. Tackle from George White. Rodrigo is growing off his feet there, asking for the penalty. He will receive it in the end. A little bit of a push there from Mateo Carreras as well. I have Argentina by 6. Says Hayno. And Georgia won 31-34. That's Samoa beating Hong Kong, says I'm nutty. Yeah, Samoa currently up 19-0 up against the Hong Kong boys after also scoring early from Tuna Tuitama. It's been a trend throughout this weekend. This is actually the longest a Nations Championship game has almost gone without a try being scored in the early stages. We saw a try in the 5th minute of Italy versus Japan. We saw a try in the 3rd minute of the Springboks versus England. We saw one in 80 seconds between France and New Zealand, or somewhere around there. I'll line out here for Julian Montoya. Thrown in nicely, and this is a good rolling maul initially, although breaking off the back there for the Argentines. Scotland trying to turn it into a held-up situation, and it is another penalty advantage in favour of Los Pumas. Searching for that ball just out from the goal line. Now Garcia will move it away to the right again. Nice quick hands from Argentina. Big bumper from Mateo Carreras, but the ball has been dropped. They'll go back for the initial advantage. Maybe there the Samoan flag there from short line. If you can go a stream without spam would be nice, says the real pie man. The only thing is, when you see the spam, it pretty much just means that it's a big game. Because we don't see them throughout Super Rugby up until the playoff matches. So, yeah, it must be something to do with, maybe the amount on a stream or something like that. I don't really know how it works. I don't even think it's a real person. It's just a spam bot. Let's go south, even though you robbed Cape Verde. I'll support you here, says Inferno. And Uruguay pushed Georgia all the way. They didn't do too bad despite losing 41 points to 34. Now moving forward and over the line is Joaquin Oviedo, who does manage to score it. A nice early try coming for the Argentines. So it did take them the longest out of any side, but still within the first 10 minutes to be able to score it. We have there Jan Hendrik Vessels is the most hybrid player on earth. He played both sides at prop today, and he can cover hooker, 4 lock, and 8th man. Says Albert, but Joaquin Oviedo. Scoring early on in this match. Thank you, 90 seconds behind broadcast again. Says, I am nutty. Well, I'm glad you're not giving the spoilers then. In that case, it was just a straightforward rolling maul here. And Oviedo, he just carved through absolutely everyone to be able to run in the try. And Pumas are fabulous, says Ruth. And well done, Argentina, says Johnny Blaze. And there as well. It would have been quite a hard man to stop too with the pace that he was bringing around the side. And Craig from St. Francis Bay, Eastern Cape, South Africa is back in. Says Craig. It's a good strike of the ball as well. The conversion has gone over. That'll make the score now 7 points to 0. How is Japan? I'm sure everyone in the Southern Hemisphere is singing the song, I'm turning Japanese. Yeah, they did brilliantly up against Italy, managing to win that game, not even by a thin margin, but actually like a decent-sized one. Speaking of decent margins, Samoa are tearing into Hong Kong currently. Miracle Faialangi scored, and also Solomona. They're up to 24-0 in that game now. Nice take there from Joaquin Oviedo. We have their Pumas off the mark. Okay, they're just saying there that Tom Jordan is actually off for an HIA, which brings Fergus Burke onto the field in the very early stages of this game. I'm knocked backwards by Scotland as they get rolled into touch, although the referee says that one was not out. So Tonga after this says, hey, no, not for me. No, I think I'm going to be having a crash. It's always a little bit of a knee injury here for one of the Argentines. But yeah, it's all well and good at the start of the day when I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do every single game. And then you get to about 11 hours in and you go, maybe my voice would thank me if I didn't cover one more. Now cutting on the inside there, Kyle Stain. Back away to the left again. Cummings with the short ball to Johnny Gray. And Argentina beat the Lions so could kill Scotland. Says, I am nutty. And going to go have Kids Rugby League now. Cheers, bro, says Johnny. Well, good luck to them. Hopefully they go well. Now away to the left. Nice backline movement for Scotland. Argentina, though, locking over the ball, and they win the penalty with Lucio Cinti. And Valarola also involved in that one. 2 centres. And in Scotland, a little bit isolated. I've decided to take this one quickly, Argentina, with an awkward bouncing ball. The Japanese are northern regardless. Says Bleshin. We have got there, going to go now. Although another turnover for the Argentines, who seem to be ripping this ball away for fun. Mateo Carreras, close to the corner, just staying in the field of play. He's knocked it on. No, referee says backwards. Now just short of the line. Looking for the steal. That one's just going to be thrown into touch, and a knock on from Cinti, who was under pressure from Jack Dempsey. Forces him to make the mistake. Scotland lost with the ball, says Haino. Until the home teams lost today. Australia and Fiji lost their home teams, says Hardis. Yeah, though it's rough to call Fiji the home team, isn't it? When they literally played in Cardiff up against the Welsh. But yeah, the technicality of the home game was there, but the crowd certainly weren't behind the Fijians as that match wore on. Grondona just knocking it on as he hit the ground. But Pierre Skurman in a milestone game. There's actually a few milestones coming up in this contest. One for Argentina as well. Possession at the moment 72% in favour of the Argentines with 80% territory. Do you think if Fiji played in New Zealand it could have been better? New Zealand, maybe. It would have been better if they, of course, had been able to play in Fiji, but sadly that wasn't the option. I just don't know if they sell tickets, though, says Haino. Yeah, it depends on where they play it, because it also would depend on the time that they play it, because like if you had it on the same day as the All Blacks, and let's say you played it a couple hours earlier, you'd probably struggle to get people to go purely because they'll be watching the All Blacks game versus France. But it seemed like a decent crowd in Cardiff. It didn't, like, they probably sold 15,000 tickets, somewhere around there. Yeah, but Wales were odds on by the Southern Hemisphere bookies to lose that game. Yeah, which to me didn't make a lot of sense, to be honest, because the weight of a warm-up game, I think, still gets underrated by a lot of teams. Like, the fact that Wales got to play last week up against the Barbarians, like, even though they conceded early up against the Fijians, they just seemed like more of a unit. Fiji had a lot of mistakes that they were making throughout that contest, which just seemed like a lack of cohesion. And maybe make it a double header at the same stadium. And 19,000 is splashed in the end. And also, what is the time in New Zealand? It's 9:27 in South Africa. It's currently 7:27 a.m. here in New Zealand after Scotland win themselves the penalty, 10 metres out from their own try line, looking to get plenty of distance on it. Hamish, who would win? A squad of Northern Hemisphere team versus Southern Hemisphere team, says Inferno. You'd probably go south, you'd assume, purely because we've seen the British and Irish Lions head south sometimes, and it either goes well or it doesn't, but you'd assume south. But again, it's one of those ones, it depends on who you are, depends on who you go for. This looks really bad for Elliot Miller-Mills here. I listened to them and it cost me my Super Brew, says Haino. Currently 13 minutes through. Miller-Mills looking like he's struggling. We've seen a lot of props injured throughout today. We saw Oxen Shag go down in the South African game. The game prior to that, we saw the Fijian number 3 go down. Ethan de Groot, he almost went down. He was getting absolutely smashed in that game up against the French. Yeah, Miller-Mills not in a good way. Looks like he's going to be able to walk off the field, which is great news, but I think it's a relatively serious one, which brings Xander Fagerson now out onto the park. And another early game try, says Big Rig. Yeah, they waited slightly longer this game. They gave us 7 minutes before the first try, but still, it seems to be a lot of early tries conceded throughout this Nations Championship. Sione Tuipulotu goes across to Fergus Burke, now moving it on. Kyle Stain, he did the no-look pass, and it kind of did show that it was no-look as no one was ready in the position for it. Ewan Ashman straightening with his run. Now, white ball on the inside to Matt Fagerson. The box look dominant. And also go Argentina score 4, says Marius. Yeah, so theoretically for the Argentines to get themselves to top of the table, they would have to win this game by 25 points. It's easier said than done. Up against a side like Scotland, Fergus Burke moving it across to the left-hand side. Now White moving it across to Jack Dempsey. 15 minutes through this game. Sione Tuipulotu moves it on again to Rory Hutchinson. It's funny, nobody gives us any credit nowadays. Maybe we deserve that. We're slowly getting a bit of self-respect back. Says Blession. You see, I thought Wales were the better team today. And any time I mentioned anything about it, it pretty much got shut down. But yeah, I think that they're slowly improving. They're actually taking some really good steps in the right direction. There's another injury here in this game, and the player's running towards it. It's gone for the chip in behind, trying to get it to go towards the touchline. About 5 metres out from the try line. How's the weather, Hamish? Even though it was sunny in Cape Town, it still felt cold. This game, it seems like it's overcast, but it's not too shabby. Here where I am, it's like 5 degrees Celsius, which isn't too bad. Currently, Argentina still with ball in hand. It looks like a cold Scottish day there. And Cordoba, not the big crowd there either, says Book. Rolling it back. Santiago Herreras will now kick this ball into touch, but there is concern again for another injury. Who is that? It kind of looks like Garcia. It's down with the injury. We're going to see it, the tackle that he made. Oh, I think he gets stood on by his teammate. Yeah, the kick. Tell you what, there's a lot of injuries for the friendly fire side of things. That does seem to take place. It's an Anya. Garcia is the man who is down. And we have got there, that's Coldplay tune. But now Moyano will make his way on, and that is for the HIA of Garcia. Well, it's probably an HIA and a blood bin too, because his eyebrow was slashed open. Is it warm enough to wear them Speedos to the shops, Hamish? I don't think any temperature would be appropriate to wear the Speedos to the shops here in New Zealand. You'd probably get beaten. But, yeah, it's probably... If you got into an ice bath, it'd still be cold at the moment. We're not quite at that temperature where an ice bath feels like it's nice and warm. Nice offload from Hutchison to Sione Tuipulotu. Now White moves it across to Kyle Stain. Of course you did, because you are a one-eyed Southern Hemisphere audience. Or because you have a one-eyed Southern Hemisphere audience. Relax, that's only joking. Says Fleshin. Yeah, I get myself in trouble sometimes, unfortunately. You and Ashman going across to Fergus. Big tackle. Sitting 20 metres out from the line, and Scotland getting some much-needed ball in hand with Johnny Gray. Now to Burke. I think we'll be a mile away from seeing the return from the HIA of Tom Jordan if he does pass it, but there's, of course, no guarantee. Up to 7 phases in a row now for the Scottish. Horn, across to Johnny Gray. Sadly in England, you do see people just walking around in their underwear in the heat. Says Big Rig. And 4-game winning run, great stuff. Don't know if you will do as well versus Argentina next week, says Haino. White, Tuipulotu. Burke now passing across left. There's another injury that someone is dealing with in the background. This time it's another Argentine player, so they are back down to playing with 14 just for now. Scotland need to stay aware of this. This is going to be the advantage now in their favour. Xander Ferguson moving it across Burgess. Burke unable to quite get through. Now back to the right again. Wide cutout pass. And Sione Tuipulotu finishes it in the corner for Scotland's first try of the day. We have you there, Ruth. Hamish wants them South African Speedos, just a bit pricey. Says Inferno, but Sione Tuipulotu getting Scotland back into this game now. What a ball, says HDB. Yeah, concerns all round at the moment for the amount of players going down with injuries. Elliot Miller-Mills, Garcia, another player down for Argentina just in that build-up of play. I want to be losing all you guys now. I want them to still be available for the rest of the July internationals, of course. We're going to see it there. The run forward from Fergus Burke, who's been heavily involved. And then Rory Hutchison, he was stepping inwards and then just slung it out wide. Sione Tuipulotu doesn't often find himself in that wide channel. It was very effective there. Crowd loud at the moment, trying to put off the kicker, which has not worked. It's gone straight down the middle, making the score now 7 points each. Great strike of the ball from Burke. Although it seems like he's now making his way off the field. That looked like he was running in the direction of the sideline. You'd assume that Tom Jordan has come back from that HIA. I want to join the Tartan army, says Inferno. Yeah, it seems like he's gone off now, Burke. This one's going to be kicked. Downfield from Albanos. Nice take there, right next to the sideline. Big driving tackle on Hutchison. Kyle Stain under pressure. Call of no knock on from the referee. Ben White rolls it back once more. For these sides, they will be chasing 4 tries here. Of course, the win is important, but getting 4 tries gets you that bonus point. Be the difference between making it and missing out in the long run. Guido Petty got a bit of paint on the back of his neck. He almost got cleaned out illegally there from Matt Ferguson in that breakdown. In fact, he's hurt his shoulder in the process of that clean out, even though he got cleaned out low. Just a bit of an interesting one. 20 minutes through this game already, though. The replacement Moyano. Back across right for Los Pumas. Albanos was lurking in behind. Now Rodrigo Isgro chasing after this one. Ball just goes into touch in the end. And Hamish and Tartan shorts, says Ruth. I'm trying to think of what it was called. We did something to do with Scotland in primary school. I think it was like the Tartan Games or something, and I put together the tug-of-war team of dreams. They ended up winning the whole competition. Steve Borthwick needs to go. Says Amir. And Wales on top of the table for the Northern Hemisphere. What a dream. Says Inferno. As a South African, the South may be, or has been, respectable. Wallabies jinxed my multi-bet Pepitation. But they were bloody marvellous and so close. And Highland Fling. Oh, it's a hard landing on the back of the neck. For that time, it was Jamie Dobie, but the penalty won by Scotland. Holding on just a little bit too long there from the Argentines. Guido Petty. Man penalised. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze, so I'll quickly hide. We are good. And Scotland are up for this, says HDB. And there's normally a pretty good back and forth when these two sides face off. You can easily go either way. Only just the 18 minutes remaining in this one. I mentioned for the for the Argentines to go top of the table, they would need to win this game by 25 points. For Scotland to go top of the table on the north side, and they would have to win this game, I believe, by 16 points. Now moving away to the left, and they cut through there. Big run from Kyle Rowe. He's tackled by Isgro 3 metres out from the try line here. Ben White passes across to Schoeman, who just bulldozes his way over the try line, and it's a second try for Scotland. That started off with conceding the try, then from there scoring 2 of their own here, the Scottish. Do you think this competition should happen a year from a World Cup or 2 years before? I wouldn't mind it being 2 years before, just because to me it kind of feels like they're trying to make it as a mini World Cup. But then if you have a mini World Cup the year before the World Cup, it kind of, like, it won't take away from the World Cup a lot, but it still feels like it's slightly taken away from that competition. And Scottish Fling, they're getting over. And if they must have abandoned you. And how are you feeling after the amount of commentary today? My brain isn't working, I think is the best way of describing it, but we're still awake, only just. And one has missed away to the side for Scotland, the left-hand side of the post for Tom Jordan, but the score now 12-7, favour of the Scottish. 1 tea, 1 coffee, and 1 blunt consumed. One day may start now. Hello, everybody. C.S. Sandor, welcome in. And it's just a very hard run to stop there when Schoeman just pins his ears back and drives at the opposition. He ran over the top of Mako Vivas, which I feel like is definitely one of those things the props love to do. Running over their opposite number, close to the sideline. That kickoff from Argentina, but just stays in the field of play. We have got there, thanks Massa. I'm upset they left me alone. With you folks, says Ruth. Downfield from Scotland. It's going to be a knock-on advantage, so we will get the scrum feed in favour of Los Pumas, who will want to bounce straight back from just conceding. Colstain looks like he's having a bit of trouble with one of his eyes. He's kind of blinking it out. Favourite game as a rugby fan so far, Hamish, Aussie Island? I mean, Aussie Island was quite good. I did enjoy the back and forth of it. I think in terms of entertainment, yeah, you probably either go that one or because of its closeness, New Zealand, France. But yeah, I'd say I would probably go Ireland, Australia. Fiji, Wales was shaping up to really be great too. But then unfortunately, as the match wore on, it just got that little bit more one-sided. Samoa are currently leading 33-7 up against Hong Kong. Ladies and gents, in the Nations Cup, another game that has taken place for that. Georgia were able to get themselves the victory. Chile playing up against Romania later on today, as well as Tonga versus Zimbabwe. And then USA, Portugal, and Canada, Spain, all still to come. Ball is in the hands of the Argentines. We do see Garcia has yet to return and pretty good footy for the first up games. C.S. Sandor. Yeah, I think we almost got spoiled with some of the round one fixtures that we got to see. Hopefully next week lives up those expectations as well. Kicked him behind, taken by Stain. There's pressure on him from Mateo Carreras. Now Schoeman, the most recent try scorer for the Scottish. Ready for the box kick from Ben White. Henry Pollock face on the mountain could work too. And does this comp lead us towards football type of banter? In what regard? As in like the North versus... No, I guess North versus South doesn't really work in football, does it? Because the North normally do quite well, with the exception of Argentina, of course. And Brazil. And pretty much South America. That one's going to be a good kick in behind. That one goes into touch. New Zealand Ireland at Eden Park will be tasty. That's going to be a very good game. I think 2 weeks away as well. I can't believe how quickly we're into the July internationals. About 4 months ago, it seemed like a mile away, and that feels like it was only about a month since we had the 4 months remaining. Football banter like I'm from the Bok. I'm from the Bok from Governor. AVN in Brazil, Hamish. I did add Brazil. You and Ashman. We need to throw this one in. Nicely claimed at the front of the line out, but Johnny Gray. One's slightly doing a bit of crab walking sideways for the Scottish as it almost shapes to go forward. We have got there. Oh, I got distracted by young studs, says Ruth. And this one's still moving for Scotland. It actually seemed like the maul was all but stopped. And then they've probably made an extra 15 metres on top of that. Sione Tuipulotu linking up with Tom Jordan. Bit of a fumble of the ball from Kyle Rowe, but he's regathered it now. He has the man on his outside, manages to use him up to the 22. Grubber attempted in behind. It becomes a foot race, but the ball just rolls that little bit too far and goes dead. Argentina will get their opportunity to go for the scrum. Whereabouts that one was kicked from. Kyle Rowe has been quite a handful in terms of the back line. It looks like Argentina are actually opting for the 22-metre dropout rather than going for the scrum. You'd assume they were given the scrummaging option. I would have thought you'd almost go for that rather than going for the big goal line dropout. Or 22 dropout, I should say, although decent distance on it. From Thomas Almanos, claimed at the back by Kyle Rowe. Cross to Dempsey, normally loves that type of run where he can build up some steam. Ben White moves across to Sione, Tuipulotu, Ewan Ashman. Over there, nice and close. I got to go now. You should all give Hamish your money. It's probably one of 7. Honest to goodness people. Wait, honest to goodness good people, says Xander. I feel like that's quite the compliment from you, Xander, or Sander, sorry. So thank you very much. But now, the aerial challenge. Close to going into touch for Gray. In fact, the foot was just out. How much sleep will you get? So this game will finish at about 9 a.m. New Zealand time. Then I think I'll be in bed by 10. But then I have to be up by about 1 p.m. So I'll probably get like 2.5, 3 hours. So that's not a lot. But it'll keep me going for another day. Which green machine now, Roof? Emerald green for me, says Booker. And going to get me a Highlander cow if Scotland win the whole tournament, says Inferno. Cricket Townsend watching on from the coaching box here. Only 29 minutes and a half through this game, and the Scottish side are leading by 5. Oviedo let's score the lone try for the Argentines. Rolling this one back again. Garcia has made his way back out onto the field, so past the HIA and also got past that blood bin issue. Now slapped back by Scotland. Tackle on the air, or in the air on Jamie Dobie. Ben White crossed to Xander Fagerson on a lot earlier than they would have been hoping for him, with Elliot Miller-Mills going off with the earlier injury. Now another box kick. Coming from Ben White. It's from 40 metres out from his own line, going to pretty much 40 out from the Argentines. Pass back across to Santiago Herreras. Bit of a directional change on the short side of the field. Tackled by Dobie as they look to wrestle him towards the touchline. Garcia. Back on the inside to Delgado. Last message, I live in New Zealand. I'm a double agent, kinda. Anyway, if you made it to TV, you'll be a national treasure 100%. Says Sandor there too. I don't know how I'd go on TV. I think I'd crack under the pressure. Like, I'm all right with this because of the fact that it's just me talking to myself in a room in a way and seeing like messages rather than people. Don't know how you do it, Hamish. Oh, I did a shift like that. I'll be in bed for 2 days at least. See, I used to like a bit of sleep, but like, yeah, I feel like there's too much to get done. So I sleep for a little bit just to keep the body going, and then from there catch up on sleep the next couple of nights. The one thing I want us to take from football, implement, in rugby, as the ref must say, after review, no try, says Inferno. Sleep is overrated anyway, says the real pie man. And no way the Wallabies beat France. It'd be tricky because it depends on whether or not France played their big game up against New Zealand. Because Australia still showed enough promising signs up against the Irish to be competitive. So I think that's another one that could go down to a bit of a wire type of contest. Line out here for Julio Montoya. So it's still a wee way away from a bonus point. Scotland would need 2 more tries. Argentina would need 1 more. I think Matera may have his legs stuck in the breakdown at the moment. He was kind of asking for one of his teammates to get off him. And he is very slow getting up here, Pablo Matera. He's not too sure about that leg. It looks like it's the left knee. It might be giving him a bit of trouble. Told to get out of there. Another advantage now in favour of the Argentines. Albanoz looks to run straight up the middle. Out of Peter Steftoy performance a lot, rating out of 10. I think he got better when he was not in the locking duo. I'd give him a solid 7, I'd say. But yeah, we've definitely seen him have better games. He didn't really have his big moments in the breakdown like we used to see. And don't be burning the candle at both ends there. Sleep is very important. Gives your body a chance to heal and reset, says Puka. Yeah. See, normally by about Tuesdays in the week, I've caught up on the sleep. But weekends-wise, it's not great in terms of the sleep schedule. We see it there just in through the side for Rory Darge. It looks like Argentina are happy enough to line up the 3 points now. Just give themselves a bit more of a comeback in this game. They'll only be down by 2 if this kick goes over. Hamish, if you've got a super comfy duvet, it's lovely to sleep. You see, even when I do sleep, though, for a long period of time, I have to set an alarm now. Because I still remember, I think it was a couple years ago, I decided, you know what, I'm going to sleep without an alarm. And I slept for 28 hours after a long weekend of streaming. Which for one said that I definitely needed sleep, but for 2, that was like, I woke up and it wasn't even the same day that I went to sleep on, or the day after that. I time traveled forward. That kick has gone over from Argentina. It's going to make the score now 10 points to 12. Come on, lads, over 24 points first half. Says Blank. Okay, well, you got 22 at the moment, so it's quite close. You just need 1 more 3-pointer or a try. Nicely taken. The 22 by Santiago Herreras. 6 minutes left now on the clock. Moyano, big collision with Delgado, and he's knocked the ball on. The way that he fell, it seemed like maybe he got struck a little bit high. But he's all right. He's back up here. His pants somehow dropped while taking a shot round the chest. Saying just a little bit of back and forth now starting to build between these two sides in terms of the gamesmanship. They're just saying about the players who are out there on the field, it's not really a surprise that there'll be a little bit of back and forth. Yeah, the way that Delgado fell, it looked like Gilchrist actually caught him around the chin. South Africa are. Says Luke. South Africa are what? I feel like you're leaving us on a cliffhanger. Possession 52% for Scotland, 56% for the Argentines. They've made 73 tackles throughout that first half. I reckon you would have no problem with jet lag, Hamish. Your circadian rhythm is well adjusted to time zones by now. Yeah, like one day I kind of want to test it. Nice wide cutout pass there for Matt Fagerson. There is an advantage in favour of the Scottish too. Rory Darsh, 5 metres out, doesn't even flirt with the idea of the offload. Now moving it across. Who are Ireland playing next week? Do you know they are playing up against the Japanese? It is close and over for Rory Hutchinson. Scotland have their third of the half. They may just check the grounding of it because it seemed like that ball was fumbling around a bit. So here we go by far the best rugby nation in your world. What are your thoughts? Says Luke. Well, I feel like if I say I disagree, you're going to come with like 50 stats. But yeah, they are currently near the top of their game. We have you there. They've got no more time to boogie in that disco Hamish and those tight silver trousers. But yeah, I kind of want to test it one day of going on like a long haul flight just to see if jet lag hits me hard or whether or not it like just doesn't bother with me. Over 24 woohoo. And hope the demo doesn't do anything. And who has scored the try so far for the Argentines? We saw Joaquin Oviedo. Oh. Okay, this will be interesting. It was the early charge from Mateo Carreras. So I think they're actually going to give Tom Jordan another kick at this one. And for the Scottish so far, we've seen Pierre Skurman. We've seen Sione Tuipulotu and also Rory Hutchinson. Russie loves to put players out of their positions. First Colby plays kicker. Now Peter Steftotoy is lock. What's neck? Oxnashare on fullback. Thoughts on this game, says Luke. It's heating up a little bit. I think it has got a potential of being a relatively close one. Try allowed, it certainly was. Tom Jordan, though, he is sitting 0 from 1. He now gets to retake this kick. Due to Mateo Carreras charging a bit early, and Jordan gets it over this time. It's a weird run that Tom Jordan had there. I don't know whether or not his legs were fully working, but it seemed like he was really struggling to stride. 37 minutes through, though. Oh, yeah, just manages to hang on to it before that ball dislodges from the hands of Rory Hutchinson. He slams that ball down, nicely taken from Scotland inside of their 22. As I say, everything in the best game today was All Blacks versus France, fast-paced, physical. Always a game anyone could win, says AJ. And Tom Jordan over Finn Russell. Depends on who you talk to. I think Russell still has his place in the Scottish side, though. Tom Jordan does some very nice things throughout club rugby, though. Now close to the side, though. Russie is a genius. Changed the game of rugby legend. Says Luke. Finn Russell was a great player, says Bigger. I remember travelling from Ireland to New Zealand back in 1996, and it took me nearly a week before I felt anywhere near normal. That is hard work, says Puka. Yeah, see, I feel like the plane ride probably is the worst part of it too. In terms of if you suck at sleeping on planes, you'd just be so fatigued. Now that one's gone backwards. Looking for the steal and another penalty. Oh, there were almost... Are there punches being thrown here? Not quite. Looked like Rory Darge was lining up a fist there for one of the Argentinian forwards. But whatever happened in a couple breakdowns ago, obviously it's fired up the teams enough to start thinking about changing this into a boxing match rather than rugby. And damn, Amish, you still at it. You unemployed? Just better than you. And it's always a case of what Scotland is going to turn. Then again, you could say that about Argentina too, says Cringy Cook. And also we have there are all the teams in one group. Kind of. So one group is made up of 6 nations teams. The other groups is made up of the Rugby Championship as well as Fiji and Japan. So then it's pretty much a final of North versus South, per se. We have got the amazing commentary, Hamish. It's like a non-stop Chinese buffet. Oh, now I want some Chinese. There is actually a place kind of close that has like a mini smorgasbord. Has 10 different types of food that you can go for. Right, referee's just given the message to both of these teams and saying, listen, stop doing the pushing and shoving. Are you supporting for this game? I don't really mind who wins. I just hope it's close. That's normally my mindset throughout all these Nations Championship games. Fun fact, Mr. Rennie is the only coach currently who has a 100% win rate for a coach of a national side. Thoughts on Japanese-Italy? Massive win for the Japanese. Italy really didn't quite get their full stride going, it seemed, but they're going to need to find that rhythm when they take on the All Blacks next week. But yeah, massive win for the Japanese, and now they just have to back it up with another win over Ireland. And Japan really impressive against Italy. And also All Blacks destroy these minnows well off to Mahi. Enjoy. Pff. See, it's just better. They lost to Argentina last year, though, didn't they, the Kiwis? And they actually almost lost at Murrayfield, too, to Scotland. But I get what you're saying. That one's unplayable for the Scottish as they look for the rolling maul just out from the goal line. Argentina getting in there, shutting it down. And now scrum feed for the Pumas with 30 seconds remaining in the half. If you don't start behaving, I'm going to turn this guy around. There'll be no rugby for anyone. And now there's a bit more push and shove here. A lot of feeling between these two sides. I don't even realize they don't like each other. I don't know what's going on with Garcia. Little fella's getting angry. He did take a nasty knock earlier on from his own teammate, so maybe he's annoyed about that. Rennie is the only head coach who hasn't won again outside their own country, says AJS. Is there a senior lady serving in that place? No, there is not. I know where you're going with it, but no. But they seem very friendly in there. Yeah, Garcia was being held on to by Xander Fagerson by the looks of it, which fired him up. And it feels like Scotland and Argentina don't have any real negative history. I don't get why they're so angry. I think it's just two passionate sides. And obviously there's been some sort of push and shove out there that's slightly annoyed everyone. Maybe it's frustration for Argentina not quite playing the way that they would have liked throughout the first half. Scotland, they're starting to find their rhythm. They've got 3 tries. They just need one more for the bonus point. Surely that's a penalty try. Argentina collapse them all. Says Scott Bowie, but they have collapsed it legally, said Misha Kelly. Well, they managed to defend it legally, I should say. But Argentina feeding this ball into the scrum. Garcia searching for the possession. Scotland on him. He's trying to ground the ball in the in-goal area. Just about manages to get it down. I think that one was grounded. And Misha Kelly doesn't say yes to it now, though, and kicks it dead for Lucio Cinti. That will be the end of the first half, and it is 19 points to 10 between these two sides. Oh, Grant wanted me to ask. Says Flesh in there. And also I have to shout out for my Celtic cousins. I in Scotland, but I do have a lot of time for Argies also. And no, can't stand the stuff, says the Massa. Sione Tuipiloto and Santiago Herreras just having a bit of a conversation. They're probably asking each other why everyone's so angry. Out there for the first half, but the advantage of 9 for Scotland here at halftime. This game up against Los Pumas. 1 second, I'm going to sneeze again. So we will hide away to the side. We are good. Have they subbed Pollock in yet? No, he's not playing in this one. He did all right in the later stages. I've seen a lot of people talking trash about him, but he didn't seem to do anything too badly in the later stages up against the South Africans. Congratulations to Morocco, the last team to make it to the first team to make it to the last 8 of the FIFA World Cup tournament. Kind regards, Sean Patrick Watson. And thanks for the coverage. It's a great stream you have, says Blank. Thank you very much. We are going to be here for the rest of the July internationals. Due to a lack of sleep. What is? Like, for the players, they've got a lack of sleep, and that's why they're pushing and shoving, is it? Is Scotland on top for now, in my opinion? Says Booker. And subscribe, says Blank. Thank you very much. And Pollock is stuck up in bed. It's been a long day. And did Morocco beat Canada? Yeah, by the sounds of it. Is that still... No, that wouldn't be round of 16, would it? Is that the quarterfinal? Oh, the last 16. The last 32's finished. Last 16's just started up. Paraguay versus France. Coming up in 1 hour. See, I've struggled to follow along with the Football World Cup purely because of the fact that here in New Zealand, like, you can buy like a premium pass that you can watch all the games, but some of them are free for us here in New Zealand. So yeah, it's quite confusing as to which games you actually get to watch and which games you don't. So yeah, Canada versus Morocco is not free. Paraguay France is though. So you can watch that one. Brazil Norway isn't. Mexico England isn't. Portugal Spain isn't. USA Belgium is. So they're the games that you get. You get the USA Belgium one and you get Paraguay France. Seems like a little bit of a random one to pick. Whoever wins the State of Origin next game, next Wednesday. It's going to be the deciding match of State of Origin. So currently the series sits 1-1. Also alongside that, there's some junior under-20s rugby going on, I think, on that Wednesday morning. New Zealand playing Italy at 9 p.m. on Tuesday night. That's actually a decent time, to be fair. That might not be... Oh. No, I won't be able to cover that one because I am playing badminton with one of the other Kiwi lads. We are going away and having a hit of the old shuttlecocks. But I should be able to do South Africa versus Wales. The one at 2 a.m. That will hopefully be very doable. We have their voted Scotland to win. Hoping they do, and lots of drama surrounding the Mexico-England game. Can you do Springboks under 20? More likely than New Zealand versus Italy, because we won't be back in time. With the forecast as thunderstorms, so the match was moved forward due to health and safety, but FIFA got mad, so they reversed the decision. Play during the potential storm. Why'd they get mad? Was it like something to do with like the timing of the broadcast? I was hoping Bafana could beat Canada, because the poor soccer boys don't get any love here, says Xander. And Southern and Northern Hemisphere will be tied 3-3 after this game, says AJS. Which is kind of a good thing, isn't it? Having, 3-3 in terms of the North versus South battle. Scotland go on to run away with this game. I think a massive statement, honestly. I saw the types that said 70% to Argentina. It was the last 16. Now they are the last 8. After beating Canada. Who do they play in the last 16? Like, who would they be... in the quarterfinals, who would they be playing? Is it the winner of Paraguay versus France? The answer is yes. I just looked it up quickly. And Fiji and Italy, really disappointing. Says AJ, yes. Yeah, see, I think Fiji did all right. I think the most disappointing game this weekend, or the disappointing team this weekend, was Italy. However, I'm still laughing, says Ruth. And Scotland was kind of written off, but hey, anything can happen, says Kahu. We have it there. I love Spates and Steinlager was pish. I love the wine too, says Puka. Yeah, there's a few New Zealand wines around that seem to go well. Hundreds of Mexican fans have also surrounded the hotel England are staying at, to being as loud as possible to prevent sleep. No one has told them the rooms are soundproof. They'll be thinking they're doing something big. They'll be like, we're helping our team out, yet all they're doing is just sleep depriving themselves. And well done, the box, says Natalie. And Paraguay versus France next. Surely France will take it, says Xander. They should do. I see they're about $8 favourites. $8 underdogs, Paraguay. And when is the under-20 semi-final? I think it's next week. All the talk about Monticello being the best centre in the world, or the best Italian of all time, and he was very quiet. Yeah, but that's one game. I feel like, every player who is world class has had one match where they haven't shone. Monticello is still a phenomenal player. And who knows, up against the All Blacks, he might be the best player out there on the field. But the semi-finals for the under-20s are on Tuesday next week by the looks of it. And then from there, the final will be on the Sunday at 4:30 a.m. Well, that's a stupid time for a final. Guess what? Final of that one is going to directly overlap with Springboks versus Wales. Who made that decision? And they will play the winner of Paraguay and France in the quarterfinals, says Sean Watson. So Fiji were disappointing, but Wales weren't good, says Flesian. Now, see, I thought Fiji went all right. Like, Fiji all but did the job in that game. But, yeah, I can see why you get annoyed with people who keep on finding a way of saying Wales didn't do well. What's more likely to happen? Scotland beats the Box or Italy beats the All Blacks? Where are they playing? Is it in Wellington for the Box? Or sorry, New Zealand versus... Hang on, I got to Google this. New Zealand versus Italy is in Wellington. It's anyone's game. It's 50-50 going into Wellington. We've seen the All Blacks record there recently. Over there, Scotland beat the Box, says Big Rig, and Loftus in Wellington, says Kahu. And Wales come on, says Ruth. And there as well. What we're quickly going to do is we're going to see how long till the second half starts up. We've had about 7 minutes of the halftime break, so we've probably got another 8 minutes or so. Italy got stomped out by Japan. They're not beating the All Blacks, says Big Rick. And they'll play the winner of Paraguay and France in the quarterfinal. Currently, Samoa, they are doing very well up against Hong Kong. They're leading in that game 38 points to 7. Which is a pretty one-sided type of affair. Did I miss your response to my question? Says Lariki there. Where was the question? Oh, who got the most points in your fantasy? I actually don't have a fantasy team. Believe it or not. I am terrible at predictions. So normally I avoid doing any sort of fantasy picks because I just know I'll get them wrong. It does grind the Welsh nuts, says Fleishan. Wales' current streak is 2 wins. Is it only 2 or is it more than that for the Welsh? They beat Fiji. They beat the Barbars. They beat Italy. They're on a 3-match winning streak, the Welsh. Looking to make it 4 when they play Argentina next weekend. Scotland has been very good first 15 minutes, was very bad, says Kahu. And I feel like Scotland at the moment has improved this year, to be honest. Is Julia Roberts still hot? Julia Roberts. What's she in? Is she the one who's in Pretty Woman? Is that Julia Roberts? I haven't actually seen that movie. Is that Julia Roberts? I don't even know what she's done in like the last 10 years. I don't even know what she did before that either, to be fair. She's the one who was the best player for fantasy for me. Just ahead of Roygaard and Savia, says AJS. And depends on what you count because the Welsh under-20s won 2 and the Welsh women 2. Says Big Rig. Also, whether their Wales can beat Argentina. Wales right now look better than they were before. And streaming your full-time job? No. It's my weekend hobby that normally I have to put more money into to keep it going. But, yeah, it's my pastime, I guess you could say. Are you having breakfast after this? Well, the thing is, I'm undecided because I could easily go, because I'm much closer to McDonald's now, I could go and get some hash browns. Or I could go to sleep for like 3 hours instead. But then I wouldn't be able to get anything breakfast related. It's a bit of a decision, but I think the sleep is the better option. I can always eat when I wake up. What's Scotland's record against Argentina? In Argentina, I know the 3 series in 2022, Scotland won 1 out of the 3. More recently, I'll see what I can find out for you. I know that Scotland were able to get the win. Argentina got the win over Scotland last year in the November internationals. 2024, we saw them not play. And 2023, we saw them not play. Yeah, they haven't actually played since that series in Argentina. What do you think of the junior box? I think they're going to be very hard to beat, which is why I'm quite sad that the game is going to overlap with the senior box if they make it to the final. It sounds quite bad to say, but it's almost better if they lose so that they can play in the bronze final before the box, but that's not an ideal scenario. I will say leave her in the dust and watch Lord of the Rings already, says Big Rig. No Finn Russell either. Been very good. And didn't Argentina come back from a 20-point deficit against Scotland? They certainly did. Went from 21-0 down to winning that game 34 points to 21. Or 34-24 or something like that. I can't quite remember the exact score. Kahu will be able to tell us. He probably still wakes up occasionally with nightmares of that game. 3 wins is great. Wales went through a terrible period. What changed, says Xander? I think it's just given these younger guys more game time, finding their rhythm in the international world. The question is if Scotland can avoid the repeat of last time where they allowed Argentina to come from behind. And played it in, I think, 2023 or 2022. Won at Murrayfield by 50. Pumas had a red card. I was at 2021. I aim to support Springboks, not All Blacks anymore, says Mohaddin. And also, what was the game like so far? It's been all right. I feel like because I've watched so much rugby today, maybe my brain hasn't fully, enjoyed it as much. But like it's still been like I've still enjoyed it. It's been a decent contest, but I feel like we're still waiting for that next gear to be found by both sides. Argentina almost were, I want to say, like a little bit flat in terms of that second 20 minutes or so. We have there's I'll just have to Colby, as the greatest player ever. Says Skywalker and Junior Box playing the final might be better to watch than the box thumping Wales again. Guilherme as a future box is AJS. Yeah, they got a few guys who are definitely going to be in the equation. Ethan Adams. It's a number 12, and although he's currently injured, but he's going to be one to keep an eye out for in the near future too. Also, no offense to Wales, but they got so bad for a while. There was nowhere to go but up. A young players and a Welsh coach who understands the crap that is going on back home. What was the idea behind this new national tournament? I think it was just to give a little bit of a trophy, give a little bit of a meaning to these internationals that are being played, although world rankings are still, of course, something that do change because of these games. Pumas are too busy starting fights instead of scoring tries. Says Big Rig. There's been a bit of aggression out there on the field, isn't there? Between these two sides. And Colby is the most completed rugby player of all time. He can play anywhere, can goal kick, can line out and scrum throw. Sidestep Murley into eating grass. Says AJS, and Argentina and Scotland have a habit of a comeback at the opponents towards the end. What if they both do it in this game? We are in for a massive finish. That's another reason I think why that first half felt slightly, I wouldn't say lackluster by any means, but because we know what these two sides are capable of late in a game, you almost want to skip to the end. If this was a movie, you want to skip the first hour so that you can see the finale and see what happens at the end of it. But of course, you still need the build-up and you need that story to help give that ending more meaning, if that makes sense. Probably doesn't, but I'm also sleep-deprived after an all-nighter, so I'm allowed a few sentences that don't actually have any sort of logic behind them. William Montoya. Chocobaré injured? I think so. Oh, or is he at Toulouse? He might have been missing from this game due to that top 14 final. Santiago Chocobaré. Is he a Toulousian? Toulouse man? Yeah, playing for Toulouse. So what may have happened is he might have been, from that recent playing in the final, he might have been ineligible. Maybe. I'm not sure if he played in the final, though. Right, we got the 3-2-1. We are back underway for the second half. Have you ever watched Gaelic football or hurling, Hamish? I reckon you'll enjoy it. Lots of skills and hard hits and amateur games, too. I played Gaelic football back at school. We went through a stage where we had to play all of these different random sports that aren't really well known in New Zealand. Korfball was another one. Anyone play korfball here? It's pretty much netball kind of with a little bit of a twist. And the buckets are baskets on top of a really high pole. This field is so far away from the van, says Cited. And Hong Kong hit back with a try, 38 points to 14. The score in their game was Samoa. The early penalty being awarded to Argentina for Scotland not rolling away. Rassi said they had flashbacks of last year, says Mohadin. A really nice slow tackle made by Kyle Stain. Seems like he was penalised for not getting out of there. Away to the right-hand side, netball with the twist, basketball, says Xander. Okay, cool, says Booker. Now backline movement here for the Los Pumas. Around the halfway line, it looks like a bit of an injury here for Mateo Carreras. A short ball from Julian Montoya. Lucio Cinti, couple quick bump-offs and another advantage. You reckon you will roll Wales in the under-20s then? And good night. I'll have a wonderful night, Amy, says Mohadin. Same to you. Lucio Cinti, been heavily involved in that backline. Rodrigo Isgro just waiting patiently out on the wing. Hasn't received a huge amount of the ball. No advantage for offside. Now Garcia. Going across to Thomas Albanos. Took 3 right at the end of the first half of Argentina, but being down by now 9 points He said that probably isn't the option to go for. Unless it is a really easy kick that you are guaranteed to get over. Definitely, especially with Ahmed coming back. Wales beat Georgia by 1. Now kicked in behind, bounce to the ball, sits up for Rodrigo. Isgro reaches out, extends the arm, and gets it over the try line for the Argentines to get themselves another one. This is again heating up once more, but for me, hurling is the best game of the world by a country mile. Maybe I'm biased. And try already, says George. Yeah, the classic 2-minute try that we have seen time and time again throughout this nation's championship. Well, we get to see it again. It's time for Rodrigo Isgro. Santiago Herreras is kicking it in behind, and Isgro taking it nicely. He manages to get that one over the try line. And try for the Pumas, says Ruth there. Yeah, very awkward bouncing one there. And that kick has gone over. Argentina now only down by the 2 points here. Just a little bit of the classic back and forth that we are used to when it comes to these two sides. You wouldn't expect anything less in a matchup like this. We have go there. Let's go to the wire. Exchange between the two sides. Or tries being exchanged between the two sides. Yeah, they love the back and forth. Kicked off again by Tom Jordan. Argentina currently 2 tries away from a bonus point. Scotland just the 1 away. Fair, but we did play a B-side against Uruguay and cruised. Says Blesian. Hash browns with fried bacon and eggs with grilled mushrooms. Now I'm more 50-50 as to whether or not I go get breakfast after this game or whether I just go to bed. Now going away to Alvarez. No, it's not even a name. Albanos is who I was after. Another spin from Kyle Rowe. Been one of the best players out there on the field for Scotland throughout that first half. You need to eat food, Amish, says Big Rig. I did have some food earlier, though. Pierre Scorman. Scotland just chasing that one more try and probably a couple more after that just to feel a bit more safe. Nice run from Sione Tuipulotu for Oviedo, got him. Hutchison and behind now, moving this one nicely away to the left. Grub it in behind from Kyle Rowe. That one's curling. It could be a 50-22 or not quite. Looks like it went out just outside of the 22. What's better, grilled mushrooms or toast with butter and jam? Says Xander. Grilled mushrooms or toast? I'd say toast with butter, mainly because I don't like mushrooms. Yeah, Kyle Rowe kicking that from just inside. The Argentine half gets a good territory gain, though, which could be crucial as this match progresses. It's whether you were 3 seconds behind the live game or watching and now you're 5 seconds ahead. That is weird. Did it like buffer at some stage, maybe, and change its position? Oviedo. And it should be a good game, says AJS. And yeah, we should actually be able to cover that one on the channel. What day is it on? Wednesday morning. Yeah, it should be all right. I think Tuesday I'm up relatively early. But that is going to be a knock-on now. Mistake made again. Handling errors at this stage of the contest. Yes, there's still plenty of time left, but you do not want to be giving up that possession at all if you can avoid it. William Montoya just having a bit of a conversation there with Nika Mushikeli. The right mushrooms can have you flying higher than a Red Bull, says Xander. Yadobi actually got up in the air, managed to claim it, and then just as he was coming back down, that's when the ball slipped out of the fingertips. Oh, this is interesting. In fact, this is very interesting. Rodrigo Isgro is being taken off the field alongside the 2 props. Mako Vivas goes from the field, as well as Delgado, but taking Rodrigo Isgro off now without an injury related to it. Seems like a really strange choice. It must have buffered. Notice the difference. Just after half time, says Puka. Batista Delgui. Surely there's an injury in the process of maybe scoring, maybe a shoulder injury. He seemed like he was shaking out the arm for half a second. Now an offload there from Argentina as they make their way up the middle of the field. They've gone for the offload, and it is going to be the knock on. They are going to go back now for the original penalty advantage. Another try by Hong Kong, 38-19 to Samoa. Samoa surely aren't going to let Hong Kong right back into that one, are they? And come on, Argentina, says Jalopy. Wales 2 matches unbeaten. England 5-game losing streak. Soon people will start asking themselves if England should get relegated from the Six Nations, says Haino. But Albanoz again puts that ball into touch. We go like that. We go like that as well. And come on, Scotland, another try, says Ian McLean. Yeah, just knocking it on Garcia at the last moment. Standing up in the scrum. That's what that penalty ended up being for. Yeah, Delgui is on for Rodrigo Isgro. They've still got Matthias Maroni that they can use off of the bench later on in this game. Now Garcia looking to the short side, skips it over the top to Delgui. A little while to get into his hands though, so lost the momentum on the attack. Elimano, or Elimano, I should say. Garcia pops it up. It's a big boy. And that number 19 jersey, I think it's Rapeti, but he hasn't got the hands to match, and he has put that one down. There's going to be another scrum feed this time for the Scottish. Bloody hell, 10 seconds to get Twilight Zone here, says Puka. England helps however to extend their lead in the world rankings, especially with the points difference, says AJS. I want a bit of blood coming out of the nose of Jamie Dobie here. And come on, Scotland handling errors spoiling the flow of the game. Yeah, we've had a fair few handling errors in the first 8 minutes of the second half. I'm cooking my hamburgers and hot dogs inside for the 4th of July because it's way too hot out. Yeah, I guess happy 4th of July for you guys in the USA. I got reminded of that yesterday, I think it was. Yeah, the big knock on from the big man, Rapeti. Hopefully, I'm not saying we will, but just don't discount us, please, says Fleshin. All right, seems like a couple changes are being made for Scotland here too. Do the box six first. On their southern hemisphere side of the draw, they do. Now, Sione Tui Palotu have decided to take the quick tap on the free kick. He's done a spin there too, Tui Palotu, as he makes it up to the halfway line, making probably 30 metres of ground. It's our 250th anniversary of US independence. Says Big Rig passed on the outside to Kyle Stain. It's 98 degrees outside. Americans having a heat wave. It's a super cold winter, says Xander. Yeah, the weather's weird at the moment. The Europe side of things, they've also been really warm, haven't they? There's more of an arm wrestle than what we have seen previously. Oh, beautiful take from Kyle Stain. Got hit on the jaw with a swinging arm. They may just have a little look at that for the TMO later on. Now, Ben White, back to the left-hand side, finds Ewan Ashman's hands. See there, Gregor Brown has also made his way onto the field alongside Williamson. No, in fact, that would have been... Was that Williamson? It looked like Williamson. But I think it's... Initially, it was going to be Alex Samuel. Unless I'm getting my players mixed up. Oh, Jamie Dobie still bleeding from the nose. Another penalty advantage. This is for Mateo Carreras being offside. 36 degrees is Aussie outback weather. Now back across to Ewan Ashman. Tackle from Grondona. So told to keep their hands out of that breakdown. That one's almost a half by deliberate knockdown in the penalty. 45-17 Samoa, blip from them. I think they'd be disappointed not to bring up 50 Samoa in that contest. Still quite a few games of that Nations Cup that are taking place. I think they're all available on Rugby Pass TV too, which is great news. is it harsh that Zimbabwe are $11 underdogs against Tonga? Like that's saying that Tonga are supposed to win that game by like 30 points. Is that? I don't know. Zimbabwe didn't look terrible up against South Africa, eh? Tonga might have a little bit of rust. Could be closer. And even longer day next weekend. New Zealand game starts at 5:10 and 7:10 for the Argentinian game. Yeah. It's not going to be much fun. Well, it will be a lot of fun, but it also is not going to be fun when I am extremely sleep deprived. I might consider trying it, but then the thing is I don't want to miss any games. But what might happen is I may end up sleeping during Japan Island so that I can wake up a bit more fresh for the games that are taking place afterwards. But yeah, I'll try and work it out. 29 minutes remaining now. And how many nations take part in the Nations Cup? So 12 teams in the Nations Cup as well as 12 teams in the Nations Championship. So the 12 teams in the Nations Cup, they are Uruguay, Georgia, Samoa, Hong Kong, Chile, Romania, Tonga, Zimbabwe, USA, Portugal, Canada, and Spain. Imagine Japan win that game. They probably will if I don't cover it. But it always seems to be the way. How many? Oh no, I read that one. No, nice break off the back there. Ben White, the rolling maul of Scotland. They will be dragged down 3 metres short. Another penalty advantage in their favour. Now Rory Darge pops the ball up. That's closed it down for Gregor Brun. And he's scored the try now for the Scottish. And the bonus point try in play for Scotland here too. 30 here at 9:30 p.m. It's quite warm now considering our houses keep the heat in. Serious pleasure. 1 second, I'm about to sneeze. We will hide. But Gregor Brun, his name I butcher every time because I like to try and say it with a Scottish accent even though I don't have one. And bonus point try as well. Yeah, now in comfortable control here. Currently leading by the 7 points with the kick to come. It's a nice pass off there to Brown who just throws himself at the line. 23 degrees in Ireland today, very pleasant. Most of Europe, though, is 10 degrees warmer. Thankfully, we have Atlantic breezes. Keep us cooler, says Booker. Jordan adds the additional 2. And that'll make the score now 26 points to 17. Hamish, I said the Box will win by 25 earlier. And I looked like a joke. Slightly missed it, but close. Clap hands for me. I don't know if that comes through the microphone because I think it cancels out background noise, so I might consider clapping background noise, but well done. I only went them by 12. So I probably look like more of the silly goose, didn't I? And bonus point for Scotland, still not out of trouble yet. Since Argentina will be looking to hit back. Here's way to go Scotland try time, says Ian McLean. Now that lead of 9 points as well could be massive for the Scottish. One's kicked into touch. Argentina decide against the quick throw. This one's sitting around the halfway line. This game to really have a nice finish to it. I feel like Argentina now need to be the next team to get themselves the ball down. They're just showing the replay. That didn't look like the ball was actually that down. But it must have been close enough. I just said there, it's actually Gregor Brown's first international try as well, so I'm glad that it stood for him. I thought it would be by 1. I was hoping for the South Africa vs England score would be another 1-pointer. And bonus point for Scotland, still not out of trouble yet since Argentina will be looking to hit back. Currently, the Argentines have got themselves possession just inside of the Scottish half. The chip attempted in behind. Was the player taken out? Referee says no. Scotland definitely have the edge here, playing well so far, says Puka. Now passed on the outside. Chance to kick this one in behind from Hutchinson. 10 metres from their own line. Albanoz has a bit of time to be able to work with and does just put this one out. It's a very solid kick from him. We're considered as the underdogs heading into this game, Scotland. Don't think they'll be current underdogs. Now, Argentina have pretty much taken the underdog status where Scotland were. and have now got it for themselves. It's cold here, 6 degrees, feels like -2 for me. Yeah, see, we're about the same here, but we don't get the warmer days like you guys get over there. So, like, this feels normal. My cousin lives down in Dingle, and it seemed perfect down there. Argentina have massive jet lag. We can't expect them to play great here. They're currently playing at home. So I'd like to think they wouldn't have much jet lag for being where they normally play. And also, come on, Argentina, lock in. Says Ano. Also, Down in Dingle would be a great name for a TV show. I just don't know what the show would be about. WGF is Argentina doing? That's a very good question. Hamish, have the organisers picked a venue for this tournament final yet from Dublin? I think it's supposed to be at Twickenham, from what I remember. Hang on. Yeah, I feel like I saw that it was going to be at Twickenham, but I could be wrong. Although being at Twickenham wouldn't make much sense since all the games are taking place in the south. So maybe not. But now, ball's picked up by Garcia. Looks for the flick pass. Back by Gregor Brown again. And Oswego there shaking Granny. Says Reese, and also a good question. Mal now running down the wing. Kyle Rowe, he has the ball on the inside. Nice step from Ben White and beautifully offloaded to Scott Cummings. And that will almost now be the game, the way that Scotland are finding their rhythm. But Cummings, for his 50th cap, does score the try now. Argentina just making errors with the ball in hand, dropping it too often. And it just leads to those massive opportunities for them to get everything going. And I know Scotland, what the hell? And also there was a kids show in the UK where football, Michael Owen would come out of a kid's poster and the kids would solve his problems. It was really weird. Says Big Rick. There are some shows that you see that you're like, how was that ever like cleared in a boardroom? Now, what's the score? At the moment, the score is 31-17. A kick to come here for Tom Jordan to try and make it 33-17. Bringing what's proven for why they are the world's best rugby team. This will be a preview for what is to come in 2027 Rugby World Cup, says Burton. And also they might be playing at home, but they were sponsored a holiday. So they had a team holiday and flew back to this game, but they forgot about jet lag. Says Xander. That's a nice kick from Tom Jordan too to make the lead 16 points in favour of Scotland. They want to get outside of that 21-point margin because, of course, they have felt it all too soon or all too recently against the Argentines. What can happen with a lead like that? Caught Scotland at 2-1 at halftime, but $500 on it, easy money. Says Matt. They were leading at halftime, weren't they? That's probably, that would have been a very good decision. Well, at least it seems that way. Nothing guaranteed, of course. We keep hearing that Argentina are the best, says Dazza. Do you? Who keeps on telling you that? I assume they were Argentinian, right? This one's going to be kicked downfield from the Scottish. Obviously taken by Batista Del Gui. How long left? Currently still another 22 minutes remaining on the clock. Julio Montoya moves it away to the left. Trying to spin forward with Santiago Herreras. And South Africa can make a TV show where Evan Etzebeth comes out of a kid's poster, pokes all the kids' bullies in the eyes. Scotland with such underdogs, it made me overthink. Betting pre-match, honestly, says Matt. And another knock on coming from the Argentines. We keep hearing Argentina are the third best team after the Box in New Zealand, I mean. Are they referring to the Rugby Championship or in general, though? So I feel like it's probably down to the Rugby Championship. In my opinion, Pumas are the most inconsistent team in rugby. They can beat or lose any team any week. They have no consistency, says Big Rick. And 31-17. That's a big lead at 60 minutes in, and it's actually 33. I've just shaken the mouse so that it does update again. Scotland are on the high road now. Yeah, for them, they have to win this game by 15 points. If they win it by 15, they will sit top of the Northern Hemisphere table for the end of round number 1. And Scotland are doing well, says Mohadeen. Argentina best third best in general, says Dazza. So who's your third best in that case then if it's not Argentina? Who's your next one? You going with France, I assume? Now going away to the left-hand side, passed on the outside for Dobie. He has been out there running all over the place. That his nose has actually completely stopped bleeding. And Scotland to beat South Africa, says the real pie man. Argentina can't deal with the physicality. And we keep hearing Fiji are the 4th best in the world. Keep hearing Fiji are the 4th best team in the world. Who the fuck? Who's telling you Fiji are the 4th best? Whoever you're listening to obviously has a little bit of bias there. Also, apologies for the bad language. I think I almost just swore. France 3rd best, soon to be 1 or 2, says Dazza. And hold up, I just realised the small guy, a.k.a. Dobie, is on the wing. And no way Fiji or the Pumas are better than France, says Big Rick. Yep, box kick here for Ben White. Oh, gone straight through the hands of the Argentine, who says he didn't touch it, but been claimed as he has. A video grade in 7s, maybe that's what they meant. Maybe. On Instagram, Fiji are the 4th best, so I keep hearing. Surely that's 7s. Because, I don't know what groups you're in, but, if your group is saying South Africa, New Zealand, Argentina, Fiji for your top 4 sides in the rugby union world, you need to leave that group. As that would be 3-3 in the North versus South today. Not a bad innings, lads, says Puka. Fiji are 9th in the world, says Hori. Yeah, so no one's putting them in the top 5 conversation at all at the moment. Sure they don't mean in the 7, says Big Rick. The result so far is not expected. I think the UFC has done well for Scottish rugby. I like it. It's like now Grondona will make his way from the field. Argentina still need, technically, 2 tries here would get them into the scenario of a bonus point, and maybe even 2. That was assorted by tries, not points difference. Says the real pie man. Well, they got 5 at the moment. What did Wales get? They get 6 in the end. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6. So 1 more for Scotland would get them up there. I also don't think that Argentina have finished scoring yet, though. So we've still got time in this game for maybe 2 or 3 more tries. And we have got there, just woke up, who won the other game, says Highlanders fans. So, depending on what time you slept, I'll just go through all of them. New Zealand bet France. Ireland bet Australia. Japan bet Italy. Wales bet Fiji. South Africa bet England. And now, at the moment, Scotland are winning their game. I keep hearing from the Box and Argies and Fijians that they are the best full 15. It's only that the refs of World Rugby are against them. Again, I have no idea who's telling you that, but I would have to think it's quite a niche thing. But, yeah, I don't think I've heard anyone call Fiji a top 5 union team. They've definitely called them a top 5 sevens team. Some people still call them the best, even though they didn't claim the title this year. Now, nice pick up there from Darcy Graham. Here for the Scottish, they are currently inside of Argentina's 22. Matt Fagerson shoveling it back. Try scorer Hutchinson. Goes to Tui Pilotu, who's also managed to score a try. A good day to be a centre for the Scottish. George Horn. Cross to Xander Fagerson again. If the Pumas don't step up, I'm officially rebranding them to the Pretty Little Kitties. Says Jalopy there. It's Instagram and Facebook saying that the fan says, Dazza, well, you definitely shouldn't believe everything you read on Instagram and Facebook. That's probably your biggest mistake. Now going back across to the left-hand side. George Horn. Cross to Tui Pilotu. Passes across again. Big driving tackle, and it's forced a handling error from Scotland. Can they find the rhythm now? Argentina, they need a try, and they need it soon. They've gone for the grubber in behind. Mateo Carreras in a foot race with Tom Jordan, but also getting back there. I believe it was George Horn, who is still relatively fresh, so he's making his way onto the field. Box of Fiji and Argentina always blame the ref when they lose. They're not the only teams, though, are they? Let's be honest. I think every single international team have had a few times where they've blamed a referee for their losses. I don't know. I trust the guy on YouTube. Says Robert. Now this one gets put into touch. Argentina decide that the quick throw is the way to go with. We have you there, which is super weird for the box since they nearly always win, says Big Rig. And not even Drunk Box will go around claiming that nonsense, says Cited. And can you give me your opinion on whether these games have been played too soon, since the vast majority of players just finished their season? I feel like they don't have time to heal. That's sadly the reality of international rugby, is there's just no time for resting. There is still the advantage in play for Argentina now. 16 minutes left on the clock. The Argentines, they need a try and they need it soon. Whether or not they can get it done, a different story. Well, still on their side, Garcia pops it up to Franco Molina. And there, Julian Montoya still out there on the field. Now Herreras. Back to the right, Julian Montoya again. Told to release there, Scotland. Oh, another advantage. This one is going to be for offside. Referee might even get close to reaching towards the pocket, or at least the last warning here. Backline movement, Albanos goes across to Mateo Carreras, drawing pass. It's a bouncing, awkward ball, but Sinti drops his head and will be just a metre out. In fact, it was Matthias Maroni this time. Albanos. Who does he find? He's looking at about 4 or 5 of the forwards to the left-hand side. I'm looking through for Julian Montoya because he's normally a guy that can finish it when it's this close to the try line. And a signer over anyway. Didn't need him, as it's the big man, Rapetti. He does score it for the Argentines. We have got there, oh, and the Jack kicks the Hornets' nest. And we have got there, so if the Scots win today, that's 3-3 South versus North, correct? Yeah, which would actually be the ideal scenario, I think. Oh, okay, Jamie Dobie's going to make his way from the field with the yellow card. He's also probably going to need the blood bin while he's at it. His nose is still busted open. And should score here, and they certainly have Argentina. Trying to make this one a contest in the closing moments. There's technically still time as well. A bonus point for Argentina, says George. Not quite. They need one more. They've got 3 tries at the moment, Argentina. They would need another one. And if they were to get another one, it would also put them within the 7, and then that would be 2 bonus points. That kick has gone over. Adding to the tally to now make the score 24 points to 33. And also we have got there should score. We'll go like this. And go like that as well. But now for the next 10 minutes, they've also got the man advantage. This game is not over. And apologies, it's a bit upset. I betrayed my tartan for a Super Brew statistic, says Jalopy there. And correction, one more needed, says George. And if the Scots win, means England are bottom of the Northern Hemisphere section. And freedom as well, says Jalopy. And inside of the 22, Julian Montoya. Cross to Albanos. Seems like Argentina, something's clicked in the last, I'd say, 10 minutes or so, where they've started finding a bit more of their rhythm, although that ball's going to be ripped away by Scotland, booted way downfield by Argentina, but the penalty goes the way of the Scottish. It was the yellow card for. It was for the repeat infringements just out from their own goal line for Scotland. So referee decided to send a man to the bin. Right, player down here for 13 minutes remaining on the clock. Only about probably, I'd say, 8 of those minutes you're going to be down a man. I think you go for the posts. Or do you? You're going for the corner. This is an interesting choice. One Kiwi came on as a sub for another Kiwi just now for Scotland. Says Dazza. And I hope Scots don't throw it away like they did it last November in Murrayfield. Surely not, says Booker. The only way New Zealand will win this tournament is if they smash Italy by a huge margin, beat Scotland by a huge margin, and hope France or Ireland beat South Africa in the year. But Hiddleston, he's made his way on for the Scottish in that number 16 jersey. Relatively early swap for Ashman. The rolling maul is marching. Scotland took a little bit of a gamble by going for the corner. What has been the most common scoreline this weekend? Winning by 2 was quite common, breaking off the back. Hiddleston gets another one. And the debut for Hiddleston. And the try is awarded. They've just said the game-winning moment, so they are that confident. And a yellow card for Argentina. Well, that won't help their chances, the Pumas. What do you think of Arence's, or do you think Arence's yellow card was the right call? I've never seen a guy receive a yellow card for facing towards his own goal line having a deliberate knock-on. But somehow Arence did manage to do so. I think it was a little bit soft, but I also do think, what was the other one? The shot on Valimza also seemed a bit soft too, so it was probably 1-1 for calls that could have been the other way. A big high five to Hiddleston there. Debate over. Scotland are better than the Puma, says Dazza. Joaquim Moro. He only just made his way onto the field. Samoa versus Hong Kong has just come to a close. And Samoa won 66-19. Another Scotland try. Surely they shouldn't let the Argies to do a repeat from last November, says George. Conversion has gone over too, so 24 points to 40. This is a bit of a concern here because Pablo Matera has an injury. But they've just lost their man in the loose forward trio to a yellow card. Franco Molina's already out there on the field too. So I think technically they can't sub him for anyone else. Other than maybe Inacio Ruiz. And go on, Scotland from Ireland says GCDC. An unbelievable. And a good one for the Scots who saw that coming, says Frank Kidd. And who would have thought Scotland scored 6 tries in Cordoba? Says Daz. I think Scotland did. They were pretty confident in their abilities. But yeah, they were underdogs going into this game. You could argue the biggest scoreline of the weekend. You cannot have a contact swap without contact. You cannot predict players' heads. Makes no sense to me. Then why do we have scrums? You literally hit head first. Says Cameron. And holy cow, Batman, you're still going. Yeah, we're on the last one, though. We've probably got about 15 minutes remaining, and then we are done for our probably about 11 and a half hours of commentary for the day. I'm going to give Hong Kong credit for giving it their all. Hi, how are you, says Juan. Welcome in. Doing very well. Still wide awake, or at least awake enough. And Scotland, another brilliant try, says Ian McLean. Oh, another advantage. And penalty awarded to Argentina. And because Scotland threw the ball away, Argentina get to march forward 10 metres. Musha Kelly calling over a player here too. And 40 has the UFC been a thing for Scottish rugby. Okay. Sione Tui Pilotu just saying to his team now, next one's going to the bin. I think Scotland can pull off a shock win versus the Box next week, maybe. I like the optimism. It'd be pretty tough, but who knows? Scotland travelling next, getting smashed by the Box, says Cameron. Yeah, just throwing that ball away after the penalty was awarded. Picked every other game this weekend. Just needed Argentina to win this. I would have had the biggest win of my betting life. Does that mean you've now had your biggest loss because of them not winning, Frank? Or did you only bet a little bit? It's going to be a penalty, though, awarded to Scotland here. Did England just not turn up? Yeah, they never really got into that game. Their best chance was near the end of the first half, but they just never got going. South Africa were pretty dominant across the pack and also across the park. Big performance from Scotland, very clinical. Gregor Townsend be very happy with his performance going to South Africa next week. Another line out here for the Scottish. This one might be one of the more one-sided games we see throughout the weekend. Ready to throw it in, goes to the back. In fact, as the day has gone on, the games have got more and more one-sided. Started off with a couple of close fixtures between New Zealand and the French, and then also Ireland versus Australia. But every game that we've covered has slowly got into a bigger margin, which means that this game has to be separated by more than 24 points. Which at the moment does seem very doable with the fact that they are separated by 16, with plenty of time remaining in Scotland with a bit of flair. Are you impressed with Rennie's first game and strategy, Hamish? I think it went all right. Like, at the end of the day, it was never going to be perfect right from the get-go, and they at least seemed to have some good intent. So, it'll be all right, I think. Seen people already calling to sack him, which seems a bit rough. $200 would have come 5K. Okay, so instead you're going to lose your 200, unfortunately. But hopefully it was money that you could afford to lose. Now, Sione Tuipolotu passes across to Rory Dash. Now pick and go, short side for Horn. Now popping it up. And another missed opportunity for Los Pumas. They had a line-out advantage, and Try Scotland says GCDC. Now, Sione Tuipolotu, we do love a spoiler, and that might have been what we just got there. Darcy Graham passes across out to Kyle Rowe, runs down the wing. We knew what was going to happen. And there you go, another try for the Scottish. And dear oh dear, the Pumas have collapsed, says Big Rig Joe, and well done Scotland, says Dazza. And also 45 points to 24. Be sure to delay it if you can. It would be greatly appreciated. That's 7 career tries for Kyle Rowe. I reckon Scotland will put up a far better effort against the Box than England did earlier. Can't see them winning there though, says Puka. Do the All Blacks get to play the Wallabies this year? Yes, they do. They play the Bledisloe after the Greatest Rivalry Tour. Do you think 50 says Mohadeen? Yeah, I think so. Raby was the winner on the day, says Frank Kidd, and the Scottish have declawed and neutered their Puma bet. I guess Australia will play the Wallabies, says Cameron JK. And that one for Fergus Burke has gone over, but we already knew that because GCDC's too quick. So that one's going to make the score now, sitting 47 points to 24. He need to win by 2 or more points though, Hamish. Even he wasn't happy. Yeah, well, if he had won by 30, people would have said, why wasn't it 40? If he won by 50, they would have gone, oh, that was all right, but maybe he could have tried to push the tempo a bit higher. Like, you literally can't win as an All Blacks coach, not in your first game anyway, but they got the win. That's the big main thing. Here comes the run back from Argentina. The points game in this, or the most points in this game for Scotland against Argentina is 52. Imagine All Blacks beat the Box in all 4 tests. Imagine the fallout from the Toxic Box fans, says Dazza. And win by 99, 1 on 100, says Big Rig. It looks like 3-all between the North and the South here, which does bring a lot of excitement into the second round of the Nations Championship. Although Argentina don't look like they're quite finished here. Now sitting 3 meters out. Scotland over the ball. It's like they're going to be able to rip it away again, although he's still on it, Xander Fagerson. Oh, sorry, that was Matt this time. Yes, Roof. I need some. This guy is a commentating monster, losing focus. The evolution will become apparent. 82 subscribers. Can you help with admin? Are you a bright spirit? Commentating monster, losing focus. So, like, you're saying I don't commentate enough now, Anthony, or I commentate too much? Because I know you were complaining about it earlier on, saying that the live streams aren't as fun anymore. So is it the fact that I read more of the chat, or the fact that the chat just goes quicker, or what's the issue? I wonder what the odds are for the All Blacks winning all 4, says Dazza. I don't think they'd be very high. Right, I'll pass my bedtime. Thanks, Hamish. Roof, see you all next weekend, says the Massa. And winners and winners, says GCDC. Fergus Burke. One who got there. Feels like when AI translates something 15 times across different languages, says Big Rig. And Try Argentina, says GCDC. Obviously not taking the hint about the giving away the spoilers yet. But yeah, Argentina score the try again. I could have gone to bed 10 minutes ago. You could have just kept doing it, GCDC. But the Argentina score the try between the posts. And they get themselves their bonus point in this scenario. Are we saying here a stranger is just a friend? You haven't met yet, so get over yourself, says Booker. And also, we have I thought Fiji and Argentina would do better. Australia were unlucky, says Immigrant. Oh, time is off now. It sounds like there is going to be a bit of a switch here. Right, time is off. Changes just about to happen. A French good roof. I remember no Biel Biarray and Dupont and all the Toulouse players not on the squad. Boy, the New Zealand cracking game, and I watched the game at the same time. Sears Immigrant in there too, but that one has been kicked over, making the score now 47-33. Do you realise that Australia has dropped to 9th in the world rankings? Yeah. Not ideal for the Wallabies, but at the same time, you know, that World Cup's going to be the one where they either make up their ground or drop down a little bit further. Sorry, 31 rather than the 33. Well, good aerial challenge there. Mateo Herreras managing to win it. If they score twice here, Argentina, they can get back within the 7. They've tried to chip him behind again. A big boot downfield. Comes a bit of a foot race. Claim there about 5 metres out from their own line, Argentina. Sorry, for Scotland. And the penalty awarded to the Argentines. They want the ball. They're trying to rip it away. They take the quick tap, but they weren't on the mark. Now we have there one on Scotland. That is a huge win. Also, I think we all know New Zealand will beat Italy. No, not all. Not saying that. You are great. You underestimate the compliments I give. 32 characters on a type. Wait, so you're saying... I assume you're saying that the chat, when people put big messages, it's difficult? And you want to limit how many, words that they say, right? Is that... I'm trying to work it out. But I need more information. Now, sitting 2 minutes left in this game. Argentina with the ball only 3 metres out from the line. And 100 seconds now remain. They need another try. In fact, they need 2 more for the Argentines, but they are right where they need to be. Now, passed across Moyano. Defender tempted Darcy Graham. No clear release there. You see, cementing yourself as a legend in the space. Tell you what, Argentina, that's a good drive. And they've gone over again. They're chasing the bonus point at the moment, and they need this kick. In fact, no, they don't even need this kick. They could just say no to it and try and get themselves the try. Yet again, 1 second, I'm about to sneeze at the worst possible time of this game. We are good. Albanos gets the kick over now. And it makes the score 38-47. But cementing yourself as a legend in the space. Naysayers are irrelevant. Those losers sleep. And countries like New Zealand, Ireland, and Scotland punching above their weight based on population, says Dazza. And Scotland have turned off in these last few minutes. And it's extremely lucky that they had the lead that they had here, Scotland. Because they've almost thrown it away at the end of this game. They've just said there in the commentary, how is this a 9-point game? Currently, the way that it sits, Argentina would get 1 bonus point. Now, Oviedo, the man who started it all off. Scotland trying to turn it into a rolling maul. Back to the right again, Franco Molina. And Moyano goes off to Thomas Albanos, who shaped as if he was going to kick it, but that wouldn't be a good choice for the for the Argentines in this case. Now ripped away by Scotland. George Horn gets driven into touch, and that will be the end of this contest. A much higher scoring one than it looked like it was going to be. These two sides letting in a lot of tries in the second half. 47 points to 38. The win, for the Scottish. We have you there, so I cannot provide more, which is good. Imagine reading 300 words. The simplicity of words at times are frustrating. Says Anthony. We have you there, a great win for the Scotland boys. Enjoy your beers tonight, says Dazza. And New Zealand are missing Scott Barrett, Vai, Holland, Williams, Leicester, Tangi Tau, Frizzell, Moonga, Tui Pilotu, plus the 11 players not included in this or involved in this game. Better than some of the players who play for France, says Immigrant. But Scotland winning this game 47-38. So technically, if the fella is correct in terms of the splits, yeah, wins, head-to-head results, most tries scored. So does that mean points differential doesn't come into it? Because if points differential doesn't come into it, that would then mean that Scotland are sitting number 1 in the standings now. No, Wales are sitting number 1 according to this table due to that points differential. Even though Scotland managed to score more tries. So I think that's just the tiebreakers in general. 3-3 draw between both hemispheres. So yeah, I think most people would take that. Scotland have fallen asleep there. Too little late though. Game over, says Book. And also we have got there, maybe Scotland should have played in the Football World Cup. At least they would have made a fight of it. Says Slow Finger. Yeah, nonetheless, that is the rugby weekend all done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen. There's still Zimbabwe versus Tonga happening just around the corner, but we won't be covering that one on the channel. Instead, I will be getting myself some sleep. But yeah, thank you all very much for being here for these live streams. Not just this one, but the ones all throughout the weekend too. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all for the next ones.